89.9 KMOJ. That was Leon Thomas featuring Chris Brown with Mutt. Leon was just in the Twin Cities. Did you know that, Anthony?
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. I missed it, too.
He be doing big things in the city. I love
man,
it. I
Leon
love it.
Thomas is that deal. He got a couple songs that I just love. I was so mad I missed that concert.
Feel some type of way when you hear his voice, huh?
Yeah. I'm like, gosh, how did I miss that? I just don't even know. Well, it is time for Minneapolis 360. How are you today?
I'm good, sis. How you doing?
You know what? I'm blessed. Despite the snow, I kind of low key. You wanna do a snowball fight before we leave?
Yeah, this ain't the snowball. This ain't the snow to do it.
Okay.
It's got to be that thick. So it's the powdery snow.
So,
I'm a snowball king when I was a kid. Yeah, don't get it twisted. I know the right type of snow to ball them up. This ain't it.
That's not it.
This ain't it. When you can brush it off your car quick, this ain't the snowball. This is the sledding snow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's go sledding.
I don't know about that either. We talked about that, Kim. I ain't embraced winter like I should.
Not just yet.
Yeah, not yet. How you doing?
You know what? I am blessed. I will not complain, and I am happy to be back with you today on
Absolutely. A snowy day, but it is super good to wake up in the morning and, just be alive, right?
And be alive.
So,
won't he do it?
100%. God is good.
He is amazing.
So Minneapolis, when you listen, let me just rewind the track, y'all. Welcome to Minneapolis 360. I'm your host, Anthony Taylor with the city of Minneapolis. Always my pleasure to come to you every second and fourth Wednesday of the month to provide information, to be able to help you, activate in your community, find resources. I think the city of Minneapolis appreciates this platform and this partnership with KMOJ. And as we look outside, y'all, I know it's kind of rough this morning. Just be cautious, give some grace. Don't be out here driving crazy. This weather is beautiful, but even those in those SUVs, slow down.
Yes, take your time.
Yeah, you're going to be a few minutes late, then that's okay. So I'm going to get straight to it, y'all. One of the things I think is important for us to always give updates on our community. Minneapolis does a great job in a lot of different areas. I think over the years when we've talked about just the resources from public works to information on Upper Harbor to jobs to everything, I think is so important. And it's always a good time as we kind of close out 2025 to talk about community safety and give an update on how things are going, right? And I think that's a big deal. And some of those who are aware, it's kind of budget season as well. So there's just a lot of things I think that the city of Minneapolis is doing quite well, and I am happy and excited to introduce a person that I think is doing really big changes in the city. He has been out and about so much, done many interviews. This is his first time on Minneapolis 360, so I am proud to introduce Community Safety Commissioner Todd Barnette from the city of Minneapolis. Commissioner, welcome to Minneapolis 360.
Welcome.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. Honored to be here. I already said there's one thing I got to say. I want to be in studio next time.
And we're going to have you here, too.
We're going to have you here, Commissioner. I think that's important. And this studio is so great, and these people here are wonderful, Commissioner. And I know, you've been around for a while. I just love to give you the opportunity just to tell people, who you are, your background, and what do you do for the city of Minneapolis?
Oh, sure. This will probably tell my age, too. So I got to Minnesota in 1989 to attend law school. Grew up in Washington, D.C., real Washington, D.C., Southeast D.C.
Okay.
And went to George Washington University there, but came to Minnesota in 89. Went to law school, worked as a law clerk in the public defender's office here in Hennepin County. Became an attorney there, became a supervisor, in particular in our drug court in Hennepin County. Became a prosecutor was a PD for about 15 years, then a prosecutor for 2, and then in 2006 I became a judge in Hennepin County. And I tell people I left that judicial life behind me October of 2023 when I came to the city of Minneapolis to be the second commissioner of community safety. And so I oversee 5 departments, and that's the police, fire, 911, emergency management, and neighborhood safety. But really, I think everybody would agree that community safety is beyond those 5 departments. You know, we have to work with other departments in order to bring safety to all of our residents.
Mm-hmm.
Talking with Commissioner Barnette from the city of Minneapolis. Call up 612-377-3456. And Commissioner, it's probably been over, a little over 2 years since you became the community safety commissioner here in the city of Minneapolis. And I know there's a lot of things that happen with that position that you hold, right? And I know also too, there's lots of initiatives and safety plans that you implement, right? Not only for the police department, but the other departments that you are in charge of. And Commissioner, I just love to give you like a opportunity to do a status report, right? A status check on over the last 2 years. What do you think the impact has been since you became the commissioner here in the city of Minneapolis?
Well, Anthony, I think one of the big things is that when I was hired, the mayor talked about making sure I review the after action report from 2020, right? And so we all know what happened there. And so it was to, one, internally make sure that all of our departments, not just police, all of our departments, even outside of my department. So I have to work with those other department heads. And we are in a place where we are, at least externally now, I believe, more responsive. We show more transparency and have more of a compassionate approach to community safety. I think one of the biggest things is that we collaborate more internally and externally, whether that is with community organizations or with business partners, to make sure that people feel safe. But one of the things your listeners might find interesting is that there is a report out there called the Safe and Thriving Community Report. And people can look at that, and that is our blueprint to bring in safety services to the city of Minneapolis. So you can look at that. But the innovative part, I think one of the things most proud of most recently is that we have put a social worker in our 911 call center. And you might say, well, why is that important? As you would imagine, there are people who call 911 and it's not an emergency. And yeah, it would be easy to transfer them to 311 and have 311 handle it. But our residents sometimes call and they're in need of services, and having this Hennepin County social worker there really helps us build out what we want to be, and that is to connect people with services. And when they call, not just try to say, call this number, but actually do something about it. So that's probably the thing that I'm most proud of recently. And I could talk about probably 20 other things, but I'll stop there.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that, Commissioner, because that's also important. And what I'd love to do is this follow-up question, right? Because something I think that you said just resonated with me. And you talked about collaboration, right? And you talked about bringing everybody kind of under the same vision, right? So you talk about not only your internal departments, but also just collaborating with community, right? And not only community, but other entities like the Sheriff's Department, Hennepin County, those type of things. Talk a little bit about how important collaboration is when you bring all of these people together. And was it a challenge to be able to do that?
You know, to answer the question one, challenge, no, not really a challenge. I think what happens sometimes is people they come together, and when you think of community safety, especially with law enforcement in particular, people come together in a lot of times in emergency. So out of a desire to do something immediately. And so what we try to do here is to really put community at the center and listen, something that, quite frankly, in government, we don't do well. And then actually listen. Don't tell people what's best for them, but actually really try to deliver, but be honest with people about what your limitations are. So the most recent thing, as I think a lot of people hear about in the news with our president here, is this enforcement of immigration. So we are working very hard in three big buckets, right? One of those buckets is communicating internally with our staff and all throughout the city with, here's what you can do if someone wants to try to enforce immigration in one of our buildings. So, and we want to work with Hennepin County and the state to do that. How we communicate is so important so people get accurate information, because this administration does not do that. And I mean administration, I mean the Trump administration. We are connected to be ready for any large-scale deployment of federal agents here in the city, like a National Guard from another state. So we worked very hard and met at all of these levels, city, county, state, to be prepared. And then, of course, it's paying attention to all of the legal action that's going on, because the first thing that we don't want them here. And so we have to be prepared, and that means all of us have to work together. So whether that's our city attorney, our AG, or our county attorney, just being prepared for those things. And so to collaborate, to know that people here can be safe.
And I'm glad you're talking about that too, because we're in unprecedented times here, Commissioner, and that we can see every day. And I'm sure you're aware just the loads of information that's coming with ICE and how they are, in our city, and basically being able to tell folks to explain their rights. Like, know your rights, I think, is important, right? So how are you able to, and you said it really good, and I'm glad that you talked about that, how important that is for you to be able to coordinate with other entities that make that happen. And again, as we get more into it, and listen, Minneapolis, we got the commissioner on the line. It's a chance for you to holler at him, 612-377-3456. And one of the things I think is important, if I'm a community member, so I'll put my city hat on and I'll put my community member hat on as I look over Penn and Broadway with such a beautiful sight with all this snow, Commissioner. You should have been out here in the studio. I'd love to see what type of boots you wearing. You from DC, bro. Like, you got enough to wear up here, man? What's going on?
I had on my Sorels this morning.
Okay.
In the driveway, but I got my dress boots on at work.
Got it. I was just checking on you, Commissioner. So just bear with me. I got my boots on too. But as we talk about safety and updates here in our beautiful city, I would love for you to just talk a little bit about MPD. Right. So obviously, when we say MPD, it elicits different reactions to different people. Right. And not to necessarily go down a rabbit hole, because that's not the intent of this program. The intent is to see and talk about like the progress that you've seen in rebuilding and reforming MPD, especially since, your tenure. And obviously, if you think about some of the historical things that happen in our city, like where is the progress with how MPD is moving forward since you've been the commissioner?
I think one of the things important to make sure everyone understands, because I get this question quite a bit, is that since 2020, you heard Chief O'Hara talk about it, more than 500 officers have left MPD, right? And so with that, right, we know there were certain officers that probably left that were part of the problem. But the officers that's been here since 2020 and had the opportunity to leave, they're here because they're committed to the city. They want to see reform and they want to see progress. So, a big shout out to them. And then the diversity that the MPD is bringing forth so that community can see people that look like them is just extraordinary. And we're making progress. Guys, we're not there, right? We're not where we want to be with the level of staff. But what has happened is that right now, what people might not know about is that there have been a lot of policy changes because of the settlement agreement with the state's Human Rights Department. And we're going to follow even though it was dismissed, the federal consent decree was dismissed, we're going to follow those provisions as well. So implementing all of that work, and at the same time having our police department do the things that police departments need to do, and that is to really be on top of the crime. And so 2 things I'll say, and then I'll be quiet on this question. 2 things. 1, overall crime is down. 2, on that collaboration piece and where MPD is and what people probably wouldn't have seen before is the Chief O'Hare working with our 911 director, Director Hodney, to work on how can we reduce our response times. And the chief talked about this recently. So you have that priority 0, meaning you drop everything and go. You have priority 1. And so think of most of our priority calls are going to be 1, then 2, then 3, right? So in that priority 1 call, we have reduced that time to respond by 2 minutes. So that means saving lives, right? That's that collaboration piece that might not have been there before because our folks are talking together and trying to bring a better service to the residents and to the visitors. So, I mean, that's important in the way that we've changed how we look at crime and, all those things. But I'll stop there because I'll keep talking. I'm a former judge. I'll keep going.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, that's not a problem, Commissioner, because the information I think is helpful, right? Mm-hmm. They need to know, Commissioner. And as I wrap up our interview here, just really quickly, I think one of the things I think is important is how the city has kind of just built out capacity, right? So one of the departments that is newer to the city is the neighborhood safety department, right? So I know there's a lot of details that go into that, and we can talk about the reasons why that came about. I don't want to go there. I think what's important, Commissioner, is the programs, right, that the neighborhood safety offers. Because I think these are a lot of great programs. If you talk about grassroots, you talk about having non-police response, right? And just the commitment of having people who look like the community be a part of these programs. Can you talk a little bit about these new programs that are happening in the city?
Yes. One of the big things is people don't care. And when I say this, I mean it's the most respectful way. There's that desire to reduce crime, and we're doing that. One of the things is, if you're the victim of a crime, you don't care about us reducing crime. You're like, look at what happened to me now. And so I say that to talk about our neighborhood safety department because they are the ones that are that alternative to what you see with policing. They are the ones, I think, that are the closest to our residents because they're not responding to a 911 call. They're helping to try to get to these root causes of things that touch on drug addiction, touch on mental health. And one of the most recent things, pilot programs that we have going on right now is our community safety ambassadors. And those safety ambassadors are similar to the folks you see downtown, right? You see them in those fluorescent vests. And so now we have them on East Lake Street and East Franklin, and they are visible out there. They're a welcoming presence. They try to report emergencies that they might see happening. They try to help our community connect to different services. So that's important. One of the other things that your folks might not know about is that we have that Next Step program at the hospitals, at a couple of our hospitals, where we actually have contracts with some of our folks to really help people who are gunshot victims from violent crimes or injuries. So just trying to get them healthy and then provide those services is so important.
It is, and I'm glad you talked about that. I think one of the things that I think is important is that getting that information out to people, right? And Commissioner, I'm extremely happy that you were able to come on here today and talk about that. And one of the things, Minneapolis, for all that information, you can always call, what is it, Kim?
311
to be able to get you any more information to any of these departments. And as we wrap up real quick, you talked about fire being a department that's under you and just such an integral part of the community is the fire department because they do a lot of service in his community. One of the things I just really want to make sure we honor is Chief Tyner.
Oh my goodness!
And everybody love. I mean, when you say his name, Kim, people just feel lots of love with Chief Tyner.
Love him.
And Commissioner, you losing this guy, man. So just talk about what you feel his impact was to the fire department and his tenure here in the city.
Well, first I have to share with you guys, and I said this with him. He's just unhinged now. You know, he's talking. And he's just saying what he wants to say in meetings. But he's such a joy. I saw him earlier, just teasing him about it. But you know, oh my goodness, here's a North Sider that's got over 30 years of service, come up through the ranks, right, through the fire department ranks, and you know that's not an easy task for a person of color, right? And so, in any profession, you've never heard him really outward talk about the things that he went through to get there, but we all know that he had to get through some hurdles. But he's our second African-American fire chief from the city of Minneapolis. But more importantly, guys, here's his kindness. On the way out the door, he wants to honor Ron Edwards.
Oh.
Yeah.
And this is what he wants to do, because Ron was so instrumental in desegregating the police department back in 1970. He wants to honor him by getting a plaque up in what we call Fire Station 1. And so that is who Chief Tyner is. No accolades for himself going out the door, but trying to do something to acknowledge someone who was instrumental in helping him get to where he is.
Such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and you know, Ron Edwards was truly amazing.
Yes.
And it's just incredible, right? And you know, I can, all of us can share a lot of Mr. Edwards' stories, how he's touched everyone, and just the way that Chief Tyner is able to think about others and honor those before us, I think is a huge testament of the person that he is, right? True test of his character, Kim. And you said that so well. And listen, Commissioner, we're going to have to go over. So, because I want to talk about this topic. So forgive me, KMOJ, if you're waiting for Q Bear. You know, I'm gonna I'll steal a few of his minutes.
Right.
But thank you for at least talking about, you know, the chief and the fire department. One of the things I'd love for you to talk about, and we touched on it just a little bit here, Commissioner, is just this increased federal immigration arrest in Minneapolis, targeting specific communities. Obviously, some of the deplorable things that the Trump administration himself said about our Somali brothers and sisters, and just some of the things that we see on not a daily basis, but a minute basis, right? And I think if you are in South Minneapolis specifically, you see this, and you know there's people who are affected, and it's having people live in fear, right? Fear to be able to go to the gas station, fear to go pick up their kids, fear to move around their day-to-day operations because of what this has happened in this community. So I would love for you to talk about just the city's response to these attacks and this gathering here and this kind of saturating Minneapolis. Talk a little bit about the city and what their role is in this.
You know, we have a separation ordinance, and if anybody tuned in yesterday with City Council, there were quite a bit of discussions and community input into our separation ordinance, meaning that we will not help with any immigration enforcement. So that's one. And to our immigrant community in particular, we stand with you. We know that the majority of people are U.S. citizens. They are citizens, and they're here legally.
Right.
So I just say that, and there's a lot of examples of our own citizens being taken and what have you, which is deplorable. But as far as what the city has done, we've tried to communicate a lot. So if you have questions, if you don't remember anything else, call 311. they can help you with services, right? We have connections with community organizations that we will connect you with around immigration issues. And if there's a legal question, the city can help you with that. If you want to go online because you don't feel comfortable calling 311, go online to our webpage. We have a Know Your Rights, and that you can read through and really help you. We want people to feel safe. We know that the tactic here is one of fear, but we just want people to know that we're doing everything possible that we can. And the thing that really is sad for us is that there is no communication with us around the activities that are happening in our community. So we don't know it until you live stream it or you call us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that is so true. And thank you for that, Commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Minneapolis is one of the most diverse cities on the entire country, right? And these are our neighbors, right? These are our friends. These are our family members. This is our community. So I think as people may not be tuned into what's going on, some of us more than others. I mean, these are our people, right? So what happens to our people happens to us, and how we feel that. And it's always people want to know exactly where they know their rights, obviously what the city of Minneapolis doing. Understand, too, that there are some handcuffs, too, right, involved with that, too. And there's some things that people need to understand when it comes to ICE, and how do you necessarily navigate a situation where ICE is around, and it's important to understand what, the police's role is in that, too, as well. So I appreciate you talking about that, because I think it's important.
Very.
Unfortunately, we may have years to be able to figure this stuff out. We may not, but I think it's also important to know what our rights are. So as we finish this last question here, Commissioner Barnette, and again, I thank you. It's a busy time for you as well to be able to carve out a little bit of space in your day. Is there anything else you'd want to share with our audience today while you're here?
I think it's an important one. I'm just going to go back to the rights part, and so I'm not actually answering that question, other than people should know they can refuse to sign documents until they talk to a lawyer. People should know they have a right not to open the door unless there's a warrant. People should know that we provide free immigration legal services. Please call 311 or go to the website. I think that's the most important thing, especially because of the activity that we've seen the last couple of days.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. And thank you for that. Yeah, Commissioner. I think that's important. And listen, you've got an open invitation to come back to Minneapolis 360 here in 2026. I think, community safety is one of the biggest things that resonate with people, and they kind of want to know what's going on. So as we close out 2025, would love to have you back to be a guest. So thank you for being here, Commissioner. Absolutely.
Too? So I saw a post, Commissioner, yesterday, and a lot of people were kind of commenting on it. And so just, how you sometimes just don't know what's true and what's not true. But it said, Minnesota, be careful out there. They're saying that white supremacists are dressing up as ICE and kidnapping people. Have you heard anything about that?
I have no confirmation of that information. So I have no confirmation of that. If I can tell you this, if we do have confirmation at any point, I can tell you that we will get that information out to residents and visitors, but I have no confirmation. But we do know what our federal law enforcement agents enforcing immigration are doing.
Yeah.
Okay,
as far as what some of their activities have been over in Augsburg and Cedar Riverside, but I don't have any information that white supremacists are here. And, again, fear that folks are trying, whether, that's from federal government or outside, people trying to really intimidate our residents, like Anthony said, Kim, they're our neighbors, they're our friends, they own businesses. Businesses are losing money because people are afraid. And it's just so much fear. And I wish I could be able just to tell you yes or no. But so far, that none of that has been confirmed.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Because definitely hate to share that or cause any more fear than we have to, right?
Absolutely. And we've been through the misinformation game before too, right? So, but we're also in times where we just don't know. That's a great question, Kim. Listen, Commissioner, thank you again. I'd love to catch up with you in 2026. Your first time. I know you've been in the airs all the time. You've been on TV and everything, but this is Minneapolis 360, man. We different here.
Yes, you gotta come.
I know you are, and I'm coming in studio in 2026.
Absolutely. You're more than welcome, Commissioner.
All right.
Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
And Kim, that's a great question, and thank you for putting that into space because there's reports out there that ICE is in vehicles that say Lyft or Uber as well, right?
Oh my God.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
He's able to say, like, if there is reports,
we'll make sure
people know that.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it helps to just clear up some of that extra anxiousness that people are feeling.
Get some of that stuff off your chest and your shoulders because there's a lot more out there that we deal with. We need to make sure that if that's off, we can be done with that right?
Part. So absolutely.
Yeah. Good to see you, sis.
You too, as always.
Happy Christmas. Early Christmas.
But we back at it next week.
Yeah, we got one more show for 2026 or 2025, excuse me.
Our last show.
Our last show, yeah. And in Minneapolis, just a heads up, I'm going to announce something here real quick while I've got the space, and I'll talk a little bit about next week. Next week will be my last show, y'all. I know it's a difficult decision that I had to make. I was able to do some different things here in the city, Kim, and it's been a blessing. Next week will be extremely difficult, but it'll also be very exciting because I'll be introducing a new host for KMOJ Minneapolis 360. So
I know, excited about that.
Yeah, people are like, good, I'm glad you're gone. Like,
no, they're not. No, they are not. And we hope that you will, make sure you make some appearances and swing down on us.
Absolutely.
An honor.
Absolutely. And, I say that facetiously. I know there's people out there who listen to the show and love to hear us both. Right. So we'll talk a little bit about it next week. But yeah, I'll see you there.
So bittersweet, but I can't wait to be able to introduce the new person.
Absolutely. Y'all gonna love her, y'all.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Thank you, sis.
Thank you. All right, Twin Cities, we're gonna get back into the music. You know what? We got to play a good Christmas song.
Oh, man.
It's no time like Christmas, right?
Oh, man, yeah. What you gonna play? I can't wait to hear that.
Chris Brown. It's no time like Christmas. It's no time like Christmas. Let's go.